Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 modding video. Today, we have a pretty interesting video because we're checking out a bunch of different weapon mods from other Fallout games. Now, typically when I introduce a video like this, I usually say past Fallout games. But that is a bit different this time because we're actually including mods that not only come from past games, but a couple that feature weapons from Fallout 76 as well, which is pretty dang interesting. So sit tight, we've got a lot to cover, and let's go ahead and jump in with the first mod known as the Hellstorm missile launcher by Donsky62. A very, very cool rendition of the Fallout 76 Hellstorm missile launcher, which is itself a little bit reminiscent of a real-life weapon known as the M202 Flash. Now, it is not identical by any means, but it has some similarities. It is a big, boxy, four-barreled missile launcher with a ton of really interesting attachments in this mod. Surprising amounts of attachments, in fact, because this is a missile launcher. Typically, you don't have a lot there, but this one comes with a bunch of different barrels, sights, and muzzles, and it even has a bunch of emblems that you can throw on this thing as well that change out the way that it looks. You can have it be a faction emblem like the Minutemen or Brotherhood of Steel, or you can have it be something a little more generic like a standard military emblem, which is pretty cool. It's a nice bit of customization. It may just be for aesthetic, but it is still very nice. Now, what's really great about this mod is it is added to the leveled list, so it actually does spawn out in the world, and it does so in a pretty interesting way. It is injected like a normal leveled list injection, and it'll spawn on the Brotherhood of Steel as well as super mutants, but it'll only start spawning after you've completed the quest reunions, which I think is very interesting. It's not actually locked to a level, but rather to a quest completed, which is pretty dang interesting. Now, that being said, finding one of these enemies who's actually going to spawn with this weapon can be a bit difficult, so there are actually a handful of locations where it is set to spawn already. And those locations are at the Fort Hagen Satellite Array, the Revere Satellite Array, and Gunners Plaza. Each of those locations actually has one of these hidden away somewhere in it where it is placed statically, and you can go pick it up and not have to worry about leveled list spawns, which is very nice. Those locations are pretty high level though, so you don't have to worry about getting this too early or having it feel too OP being able to get this a bit earlier than maybe you should. When it comes to Fallout 76's sandbox, I wasn't pleased with it when it first came out, but as they continued adding weapons, I was actually quite happy with the directions they went, and this is definitely one of those that I'm talking about. This missile launcher is super cool, and it's nice to see a rendition of it for Fallout 4, as some of the newer 76 weapons are pretty dang nice, and so seeing versions of that are handcrafted and handmade to fit in Fallout 4 sandbox is really cool. Excellent work by Donsky. They make some really cool stuff. Now, funny enough, Donsky is going to pop up not just once, but twice on this list today because they actually had another mod that I never got to cover, and that is going to be the 10mm submachine gun Appalachia flavor. And the reason that that is important is because this is the 76 version of the 10mm SMG, not the Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas style, or even one of the older renditions, but specifically the one from Fallout 76 with a bunch of attachments to make it match that same style. So this thing is going to add a brand new 10mm SMG that is a dedicated SMG, unlike the vanilla pistol, which has full auto capabilities. This thing is going to be added to the leveled list as well, and this thing is actually found all over the place. It'll start spawning on Gunners and Brotherhood of Steel at level 5, but then it'll start spawning later on Vendors, Raiders, Minutemen, and DC Security after level 10, which is pretty interesting. It has a staggered level list depending on who you find it on. On top of that, though, you can also pick this up as a legendary drop, so if you kill a legendary enemy, you might find a legendary one of these, which is really fun. Now, an interesting note about this weapon is that it does use the vanilla Nuka World animations from the Nuka World handmade rifle, and it does not currently support right-handed animations. So if you want to use this mod, you need to pick up a standalone version of those right-handed Nuka World AK animations, or else it's going to be a bit funky, as this is intended to have a left-handed bolt. Now then, this weapon does also come with a ton of attachments, so you can customize this thing like crazy, including a bunch of attachments from 76, and I believe a couple of new ones as well. And there is even a unique known as Bedtime, which is a reference to the unique from Fallout New Vegas, and you can find this thing over at the Mass Fusion Containment Shed in the boss chest. Altogether, we have a brand new, wonderful rendition of the 10mm SMG. We now have quite a few to choose from, so you get to really be picky with what you want, but this is definitely one that's worth considering for your load order. Now, speaking of renditions of the 10mm SMG, there's actually another one on this list to give you something a bit different, and that's going to be the Interplay 10mm SMG by Thing333. Now, this is going to be a rendition of the 10mm SMG from Fallout 1 and 2, so it's going to be a very different style of the 10mm SMG. This one, honestly, isn't really my thing in terms of the original design. The old Interplay style is a very interesting way to approach weapons. It's very cartoony and very stylized, but this has now been completely reimagined in a new 3D version meant for Fallout 4. Now, Thing has done a lot of work trying to convert the tiny little sprite that we had in the old games into something that can actually be seen in 3D. This is a very, very funky gun with a very funky magazine, but if you're into the really stylized Fallout guns, this is a pretty cool rendition of a 10mm SMG. So if you're into that, this could be one that's a little bit more your style. It just depends on what you want in your load order. Now, this mod, of course, also comes with a ton of features, including custom animations. This one comes with animations, I believe, borrowed from the Caparis. It also has a ton of attachments for customization over at the weapons workbench as well, so you can make this thing perform a handful of different ways. It'll always be an SMG, but you can actually put on some longer barrels and some longer scopes, as well as different stock options in all kinds of different styles. As with all great mods, this one is also integrated into the level list and will start spawning into the world after level 8, and you can find this thing on Raiders, Gunners, Brotherhood of Steel Scribes, Minutemen, and of course, you can purchase it from vendors as well. What's really cool about this mod is it also has an integrated laser into the gun, which makes a lot of sense for the big bulky design. There's actually a laser hidden inside of it that you can use for aiming, which is pretty dang cool. Now, one thing I like about this mod, and it's the reason that I'm featuring two 10mm SMGs on this list today, is that it's so different from the other one that I feel like you could use both in the same load order. If you don't mind having a redundant ammo type and a gun that performs pretty similar to the other one, then having even more variety in the kinds of weapons that you can find on your enemies is pretty nice. I've said it before and I'll say it again, variety in my Commonwealth is really, really cool. I like seeing lots of different guns. I hate running into raiders and gunners using the exact same gun in every single encounter. So having more stuff to choose from is always a huge plus in my book, and this is going to allow that, especially if you're a fan of the older Fallout weaponry. Great stuff by Thing. He is definitely improving with each and every mod. This is a really, really cool one. So good stuff. Let's go ahead and check out the next mod. Now, for this mod, we're moving away from the newer stuff and away from the really, really old stuff to something a bit more in the middle. We're checking out the New Vegas 9mm pistol from PBW. This is going to be made by Alexerator. It is a new rendition of the 9mm pistol. Now, we do already have one of these by Deadpool, but this one, in my opinion, has a bit more of an authentic rendition of the New Vegas version of the weapon. While Deadpool's might be more accurate to the real-life Browning high power, I feel like Alex's is very, very accurate to the New Vegas 9mm. However, it's really up to you to choose which of these belongs in your load order. It's really going to be up to preference on this one. They all have their own pluses and negatives depending on what it is that you're looking for. It really is going to come down to style preference. This mod, however, is completely full of customization options, including a ton of new attachments. It is integrated into the level list. You can find this thing on Raiders, Gunners, and Minutemen, and you can also pick it up from vendors as well and find it on legendary lists, and that'll all start happening after level 4. This is also going to have munitions integration, offering the 9mm from that mod, and also rechambers to 32 and 45. And additionally, there is even a unique known as the Western Standoff that you can find over at Jamaica Plains. Even in the outskirts, you will find a semi-truck where you can find this weapon. This mod is also going to feature custom animations from Haru, making this a completely standalone mod. This thing has everything you need: custom animations, tons of attachments, and level list integration. It is a fully complete modded experience, so it's just like Deadpool's. Again, it's really just going to come down to what you prefer in terms of style. So it's really up to you. They both look really, really nice. They're both high quality. It just depends on which is going to match your load order the best. If you want to use more PBW stuff, you're going to have a pretty consistent style amongst them, but you might want to use Deadpool stuff instead too. It really doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. Just trying to provide more options for those of you who may not have known about this one. That being said, we are not yet done talking about PBW because there is one more PBW weapon that we are going to cover, and that is the classic plasma pistol from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. That being said, it has had some small redesigns to fit in Fallout 4, and that's going to include a redesign to fit the animation and also some brand new iron sights that were not available in the past games, making it a little bit more up to the new standard of weapons in Fallout 4. Honestly, in my opinion, this is a really, really wonderful reimagining of the classic plasma pistol, and honestly, it might be one of my favorite mods that Alexerator has ever released. I really love this model. On top of that, it might be one of my favorite energy weapon mods we just have, period. There's not a ton of energy weapon mods out there, and this is a really, really cool one, and it offers a nice slot that we don't get a lot of, which is plasma-based weaponry. This is going to be a dedicated plasma pistol. If you saw any of my recent videos on energy weapons, you'll know that I really like dedicated weapon platforms, and this is definitely one of those. It's going to excel at being a plasma pistol more than the vanilla plasma pistol does. On top of that, it of course has a ton of different attachments over at the weapons workbench, some of which are going to be references to the old games, but some of them are completely new and custom and designed by Alexerator himself, which is really cool. There is also going to be a level list integration, so you'll be able to find this out in the world. After level 5, it'll spawn on Raiders, Gunners, Brotherhood of Steel, Minutemen, and vendors, and of course, you can find it on legendary lists as well. On top of all of that, there's even a unique that you can find known as the MPLX Nova Surge, and you can find that thing over in the Sentinel site, which is really nice. I believe that one is custom and even features some really cool, fun custom colors. One last thing about this mod is that it is going to require munitions as it uses small energy cells, just like the classic plasma pistol did, making this, again, another complete package for a standalone weapon. Really cool stuff by Alex, and I don't think we have any other attempts out there for the classic plasma pistol. This one may not be one-to-one with the originals, but it's pretty dang close, and I have to say, I do enjoy some of the redesigns myself. So if you're looking for a classic plasma pistol and you're not able to find one, this is definitely one that will suffice until we get a better one, or a more accurate one rather, that comes out later down the line. Until then though, this one is really, really nice. And even if it's not one-to-one, it's still a really cool rendition of a plasma pistol in general, one that I think is very, very cool. With that though, I think that's going to round out this list. A bunch of new weapons for you to enjoy from different Fallout games. Things that you know are going to be lore friendly because they were already featured in different titles of the franchise. With that, if you want to try any of these mods, they will all be linked down in the description below as always. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, consider dropping a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. And if you'd like to support my work directly, you can do so using the link down in the description below. Whether you like my videos here on YouTube or the mods that I'm producing all the time over on the Nexus, you can support me directly by using Patreon. Of course, this is completely optional. It is just a place to donate if you're into that kind of thing, but it definitely does really help out. You guys who support me on Patreon are absolutely incredible, super awesome, and wonderfully generous. It really helps me out, and it helps me produce more and more of the content that you guys enjoy. So if you're into that thing, like I said, it'll be linked down there, but by no means do you need to feel pressure to do so. With that, one more time, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!